Want to teach your kids financial literacy but not sure where to start? Greenlight can help. With Greenlight, parents can keep an eye on kids' spending and saving, while kids and teens use a card of their own to build money confidence. As a parent, you can send instant money transfers, set up chores, automate allowance, and more. It's a convenient way to run your household, customized to your family's needs, and the easy way to raise financially smart kids. Get started with Greenlight today and get your first month free at greenlight.com/pod.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
All right, partygoers, welcome back to Zero Dark Nerdy, the world's most dynamic pop culture podcast, brought to you by Sailfish Comics with 3 incredible locations across the Carolinas. They got one right here in Greensboro, North Carolina, right across the street from Best Buy, 1 location in Winston-Salem, and 1 in Concord. Be sure to check them out for all of you. We are so excited for so many reasons right now. First off, Wrestlemania weekend. Not 1, but 2 nights like it's been the last couple of years. We haven't had a wrestling episode probably in like 3 years. So I am very, very honored to be bringing on Julian Martinez, a.k.a. Just Laying Down, a.k.a. JLD on social media. As I mentioned, WrestleMania weekend has unfortunately wrapped up. And I mean, unfortunately, because it's like, you got me back into this, right? You know,
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, I wasn't really into wrestling since the Attitude Era. That's when I came up. That's when I grew up. And after you came to visit for AEW, I started watching some more AEW. But most importantly, the Roman Reigns, the Bloodline, everything else. I see your posts. I see everything else going on. But I'd love to, get your take. And we can do it, night 1, night 2. We can just kind of do overall. I'm good either way. What were some of your favorite, just before we get obviously to the headlining matches, what were some of your favorite matches and moments from this weekend?
So I'll go night 1, then I'll go night 2.
Love it.
So night 1 started off with Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley, and they couldn't have picked a much better start to WrestleMania than that match. Just first of all, the entrances went great. The Rhea Ripley got to get entered by her favorite band, which was pretty awesome. She even said in the press conference that she'll remember it forever. Becky Lynch, she has her book coming out, so she did her entrance based off that. So that was really cool. Also, Becky had a cold. I think she had strep throat during that match.
Right.
So, much respect to her for that. So, seeing the manhandle slam, the riptides back and forth, and just those close 2 counts, it made it one of my favorites of night 1.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn versus Gunther was also a surprising one, but it actually ended really nice with Gunther getting the loss after 3 haluva kicks and a brain buster, which he brought back from being El Generico, which was very surprising, but I was like, let's go. Gunther had it, but he had to get a little cocky, unfortunately. So I would have to say those are my favorite 2 matches. And one of my least favorite, which is probably Jimmy versus Jay. I had so much high hopes for that match, but unfortunately, it just seemed like just a super kick party. What it seemed.
100%.
Kick, pin. That was it. And then night 2, again, opened amazing with Drew versus Seth. And I really thought Drew was walking out with the title, but the fact that he decided, I'm going to talk so much crap to CM Punk right now because I won the title. He played himself. And as soon as CM Punk whipped his leg, I was like, Damien's cashing in. Yeah. And as soon as that happened, I was screaming. I was like, let's freaking go. And because he's a fellow Boricua too, Damien Priest, he's from the Bronx. So
that's right.
A lot of people don't realize that he's from there. And he even said in the press conference, he was homeless for a while.
Yeah.
Before he even got into WWE.
Yeah.
After the indie scene. So just seeing all of that unfold was chef's kiss. So I was so happy for him. As much as I wanted Drew to win too.
Right.
I kind of want Priest. I'm glad Priest finally cashed in because it seemed like the briefcase
held
was just there
for a while, right?
Briefcase since back last July.
Wow,
was when the
so almost
Money in the Bank briefcase. And you have a year to redeem it. If you don't go after the next Money in the Bank show, you lose it. Okay. And I feel like the Money in the Bank kind of lost credibility because people are redeeming it for like the mid-card titles, for the US title and Intercontinental title. I also feel like there were more losses happening where it's just like, then why did you give him the briefcase anyway?
Right.
Like maybe they last second were like, you know what? We don't want him with the briefcase no more. Cash it in and lose.
Yeah.
Like it just gave us all that hype for no reason. I feel like the women have a much better record. I think every woman has won from Money in the Bank, but for the guys, it's like a very bad track record as of recent. So I'm glad Damian Priest cashed in successfully on a world title.
Yeah.
For night one, obviously main event was great. Night two main event, astronomical, probably one of the best ones that I've ever seen. Bayley versus Io. I was so proud of Bayley for finally getting her moment and getting the win. So those two were probably my top favorite. And surprisingly enough, a good match, probably not the top, but one of my favorite matches was the Philadelphia Street Fight. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits versus AOP and Carney. Because Bubba Ray came out, which was completely random. Like how they make him as a special guest referee out of nowhere without promoting it.
Yeah.
And then two, the spots were pretty good. So I will give them that. So if I had to pick, those are my favorites. And then the tag match. I forgot that night one. The tag match with the splitting of the belts.
Right.
R-Truth and Miz got their moments. I was so happy for them because they were hugging there too. Like you kind of felt the happiness they had, especially since they had been a team back in 2011, 2012. So it's nice to see them recoup and be tag team champions. And I was glad Grayson Waller and Theory won the titles too. They were a part of my prediction video too of who I think I would want to win.
Nice. Yeah. As far as first night highlights for me, definitely Awesome Truth. Just bringing it in. I mean, this was R-Truth's first win in WrestleMania. Yes. And, to me, he's just like the second coming of Booker T, which I know is one of his idols. And Booker T to me is one of the most underrated wrestlers of all time. And just
five-time WCW champion.
That's right. And that's why I don't think he gets the respect that he deserves for sure. You're 100% correct. I think starting off the night, which surprised me with Ripley and Lynch, was a little bit surprising to me. I figured that was going to be more like undercard, like right before the main event. But what a way to start off the night. Of course, Becky Lynch promoting her book. And then Rhea, I think, was also dealing with, apparently she had like a panic attack before the show or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I started to see news about that. So there was, both of them kind of under the weather, but it's always great when you see an entertainer come out with like the band that is playing their music. And
Absolutely.
When Rhea came out to, I think it's Motionless in White is the name of the band.
Yes.
It was just phenomenal. And I mean, besides that, I got to say, I actually expect a little bit more from the Lil Wayne intro with
it was
Jay.
just half a verse from a Millie and then is his theme song.
Right.
One thing I was hoping was that, I mean, Lil Wayne got a ton of bangers, but there was a video I saw where they were like, oh, what if Lil Wayne performed 6 foot, 7 foot? Could you imagine Jay at the top of the ring like that with that song going all out? That would have been insane. I get it. They want to put the regular entrance music. The performers are just like the prequel to the entrance, but that crowd would have went wild even more.
Oh, I mean, they would have went bananas. And then besides that, of course, as an Eagles fan, it was great. And I mean, we figured it was going to happen. That some Philadelphia Eagles were going to come out. Kelsey and Lane Johnson came out during the Rey Mysterio match.
Yeah.
And of course, I enjoyed the hell out of that. For any self-respecting Eagles fan or really football fans in general, Jason Kelsey is one of the best centers of all time. And I got to say, this is one that you told me about that I'm definitely keeping my eye on. Jade Cargill. Is that it?
Jade Cargill. That was a good match.
Oh, man. She is a up and comer. This girl's about to start dominating. I can predict probably next WrestleMania, it'll probably be her and like Becky Lynch or Rhea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%.
because like she was in AEW for a while, and she had an undefeated streak in AEW for a while. She only lost 2 matches in her whole career there.
Right.
And those final 2 were for the TBS title.
Yeah.
Other than that, she's won every single match over there. So they hyped her up so much in AEW, and it's made me look forward to seeing her here and see what Triple H does with her. Because like Jay could do whatever she wants in the ring, but if creative's telling her to do XYZ, then is that a reflection of Jade or is that a reflection of creative?
Right. Now I got to ask you, as much as I thoroughly enjoyed Seth Rollins' intro with the murmurs on night 2, what in the hell was he wearing on night 1 for the main event? What was that? A gigantic bow or something like that? What? I mean, I know he's extravagant. I love Seth Rollins ever since he was on the Shield, but I'm like, what in the hell was he wearing on night 1?
Like, I don't know where he gets his ideas. Like, I even told Amanda, I was like, I don't think he dresses like this outside of the ring. Like, I feel like this has to do with his character.
Right.
Because it was a big ass hat. That's what it was. It was like a big hat and then like his old wardrobe, whatever. How do you get out of that? Like, when they were introducing them in the ring, I'm just like, how do you get that whole jacket off? Like, is the hat a part of it? Is it just stitched on? And like, it gets me confused sometimes with his character. I will say though, one of my favorites of his though was when he was in Brooklyn with the big red boots.
Okay.
He had when they were getting popular, he actually came out in them, started dancing around, and the memes were hilarious.
Yeah.
And he even did a curb stomp with them. But I would say that's what was one of my favorites of that. But Rollins, he got some interesting taste in outfits.
He does. He's come a long way since the Shield. And speaking of the Shield, I guess we can kind of go to night 2 now. Yeah, and well, actually, you know what? Let's hold off on that because we'll get to the main event of night 2 in a little bit. But to me, like, what were some of your favorite entrances, either night 1 or night 2 for WrestleMania?
So for WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes stood out night 2 for sure because of like the pirate kind of flag with his logo, and it to me symbolized it's happening. Like, stuff is about to go down. Roman's, I felt like was better last year, personally, but it also gave me the vibe where like he knew it was coming to an end. Like it was like a sad orchestra rather than last year where they overpowered him. Like, yo, this guy's about to kick somebody's ass.
Yeah.
Performance, I mean, for entrance wise, for everybody, one of my funniest favorites was DIY because, you know, R-Truth thinks they're DX. So the fact that Ciampa looks like Triple H and then Gargano's like with the Shawn Michaels, it just made it perfect.
Yeah.
I think the main event of night 1, they didn't even have like any special entrances. Maybe The Rock did because that was his only match, but that like with the fire and all that, but wasn't really much for the main event of that. Rhea, obviously, for sure, with the band. So I was happy for that. I don't think there was much for the tag match. What I liked also was Drew McIntyre's with the Scottish band. Yeah. That was actually really nice.
Super dope.
And then one thing I made a meme about was the Judgment Day with Finn Balor with the mask.
Yeah.
Because he looked like he's getting kidnapped. Like this man looked like he got a freaking bag sack on his head. Like and he was doing like this too, like he's in handcuffs. I'm like, I was like, oh, when you get kidnapped at 6, but you got to fight at WrestleMania at 7.
Right. And one thing I got to appreciate too, and I'm gonna give a shout out to people like myself. Whether if you've never watched wrestling before, maybe you were a fan back in the day and just getting into it, I feel the WWE promos are just top notch. Just the way they go back and do the story, like here's why this, like they have beef. Like when the Usos, I felt the promo for the Usos was actually better than the Uso match. You know what I mean? Because you got to see
the
why
spear
they
through the
weren't.
Table. The spear through the table night 2 was better than the whole match.
Right. Exactly. And it's just good to like catch up because a lot of us, and even though I'm now getting back into wrestling, my wife and I are watching it and she's like, well, why are they beefing? I'm like, babe, I don't know. I'm catching up just like you are. So it's cool that they still do this in WWE, which granted also gives time for them to switch things around and move things around the ring and everything else. But for those of us, it's not like a Marvel thing to where it's like, if you miss one movie, you missed it all. We actually get a recap of where the beef came from as we get ready to go into the match.
You have video packages and all that. And I think that's what non-wrestling fans don't understand, that is not just wrestling in the ring. Like, people like to like talk crap all the time. Like, oh, you just like to watch guys wrestle in shorts and all that. Like, no, it's not all that. It's like the promos. It's the video buildup, like the video packages, the buildup, how they talk on the mic. It's everything before the match that leads to the match. It's not the match that makes everything like popular. It's the build up to it. And that's a special skill that not everybody has. You would think that Rhea Ripley, you know how confident she is.
Wow.
Like in the ring, as a talker, as somebody who like portrays this like leader, especially like for a lot of women out there, to show like be confident, be powerful. Like, that's the first time I'm hearing that she had a panic attack behind the scenes. You would never think that. Right. You would never think she would deal with that. And a lot of non-fans probably don't realize they're all humans too. They have their scared moments. Yeah. It can happen 100%. To anybody.
100%. I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, if you like Grey's Anatomy, if you like soap operas, you can like wrestling. Like, and that's the thing, just like you said, it's not just so much about what goes on in the ring. It's more about what goes on outside of the ring than anything. If it was all just ring, we would not.
There would be no story.
There would be no story. We wouldn't care, and we would not be so invested on Cody Rhodes finishing the story, on the bloodline, on everything else. If we didn't have the banter, the pre-tapes, everything else.
And what's funny is too, there was a lot of celebrities, if you notice, behind the commentators. Vanessa Hudgens, Drewski, 2 Chainz, Lil Baby, all of them. Drewski put a video out like of the DDT that Johnny Gargano did to Grayson Waller, like into the ladder. He was like, "Oh shit, this really ain't fake, bro."
Right. And I mean, when you were in town, we went to a local match, and that's the thing. Like, wrestling is not fake. Like, is it predetermined? 100%. Is there a story behind it? Yes, but what they are doing does not guarantee 100% safety.
And I think that's what separates very skilled wrestlers from like amateurs or people who don't know what they're doing, is not how to perform the move, but how to perform the move safely. So that way your partner, your opponent, can live to see another day. Like, it sounds brutal, but it's literally that. People could get paralyzed off a pile driver. People can like lose their life, and people have lost their lives in the ring because of it, unfortunately, both live and untelevised.
Yep. And I mean, when we went to the Sting match, his partner went to the hospital after going through, I know it's not glass, but still.
That was glass. That was real glass.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
They okayed real glass for that match. Oh. And apparently people in the audience that were front row got hit with some of it. So they tried to complain to AEW, but they said, nah, you take the repercussions of sitting front row. There's warnings already. You might get hit with objects if they're flying out. So people got hit. People were like bleeding on their hands or wrists. Nothing big, but like just little spots.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you got a TLC match out there in your front row. I mean, God forbid nothing happens, but you're right there. You're in the thick of it. So I can see why they have those warnings out there. So going, to the second night. And, I think we did cover a lot. Anything else you want to cover before we get into one of probably the most entertaining main events I've seen in WrestleMania in a long time? And then I got a question to ask you, too, about that.
There was a huge difference between night 1 and night 2.
Yeah. I thought the crowd was intense night 2.
They took it personal when we said that night 1 they sucked. That's basically what happened. They took it real personal. Yeah. But I also think it had to do with the weather, because it was like in the low 50s, high 40s on night 1. Night 2, when they started, it was 61. Right. I'm sure it got colder as the night went by, but being in an open stadium, and then even apparently, since it's an open stadium, the crowd doesn't sound as loud because there's no dome on top. So the sound doesn't echo around the room. It's just leaving out into the air.
Yeah.
So you don't hear the crowd as much, but they took that personally. So when the main event finished on night 2, you heard it. You 1000% heard it. If you didn't hear it, you're definitely deaf or something.
Right. So yeah, I mean that was my big thing, is I just felt the pops. I mean, not just the main event, but just even the pops for Bailey, like everything else, I just felt the crowd was definitely more into it. Night 2, big shout out to I can't remember his name, but the cosplayer that dresses like Macho Man. You could see him in the crowd in the second row. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. He went as King Macho in the second night.
Oh, King Macho.
Night.
Okay.
Yeah, but the first night he went as old school.
Because I follow a guy, his name is Machoverse, and he lives in New York, and he goes all over the place, different cons and conventions, dressed as Macho Man. Cool guy. Like, I've seen him in person. I never met him like up close, but we follow each other, so that's always cool. But it'd be nice to meet him one day. Like,
it was cool to see him in the crowd. And I remember the first night, you know, he does all the mannerisms and does the 1, 2, and everything else. And then the second night, he had the crown for the King Macho, which I thought was, you know, super just amazing. But yeah, I just felt the vibe was definitely more intense the second night. Like I said, the Seth Rollins intro with the murmurs was so dope going into
I was like, what the hell is going on? But it was funny. The first thing I thought of was the Rosebuds. If you remember Adam Rose with all those like party people behind him, that's the first thing I thought. I was like, two of these people are probably going to be WWE superstars in like a few weeks or a few months. I mean,
yeah, it was good. So, you know, going to the main event, you know, it's no secret and like I said, we're going to get to your backstory and everything. You're a big fan of the tribal chief. You're in the bloodline. So what was your feeling going into it, especially after winning night 1, where it's bloodline rules, and then you got The Rock coming in, or, you know, especially night 1 where he's telling the ref what to do. You know, where were you at in it? And just overall, I'd love to just hear your reactions as the match went on.
So I already knew Cody was winning. Like,
right
at this point, if Cody had lost, I would actually be confused myself of what they're doing, besides wanting to beat Hogan's record of longest reign.
Sure.
So it made sense for Cody to win. And I went in knowing Cody was going to win. Yeah. So when night 2 came, I was like, oh man, this is the night Roman's losing. Oh man. The tag match for night 1 was expected to, like, if you're going to advertise bloodline rules for weeks at a time,
right,
it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And if for some reason it didn't, it's The Rock. He's the final boss, and he's going to somehow like get in the way anyway and be like, screw this. We're still going to interfere anyway. Ref's going to get messed up, beat up, and bloodline's all going to take over. So, and you definitely saw that in night 1 where like The Rock went up to the ref and said, if you count us out, you're fired. I don't F around.
Yeah.
Like, you know me, I don't F around. Like, leave it alone. And that was it. So going into night 2, it was definitely one of those, oh man, moments. But and you know what's going to happen, but as the match continued and when that first interference happened with Jimmy Uso, that's when I knew this is really going down. Like, it's happening. Cody's about to win right now, like in a few minutes. But I don't think a lot of us were expecting as craziness as what happened. Yeah. So, like, you know, Jimmy comes out, then you expect Jay to come out because they just fought. So, like, all right, cool. Jay's coming out. Yeah. Then Solo comes out. And then I kind of knew Cena was coming out because that was his last opponent, Solo.
Oh, okay.
Back in the Rumble when Solo completely destroyed him.
Yeah.
So when his music came out, I was like, I was freaking hyped. I was going crazy. And then like they fought, and the fact that he threw Solo out of the ring, but then went to Roman.
Yeah.
I think something went off on me. I was like, holy shit. Like everybody Roman screwed over is going after him right now.
Right.
So then Cena goes, and then the final boss comes out, and I'm like, here we go. I didn't expect The Rock to like go face to face with Cena. So that was like surprising. Then the Shield comes out, and then I was a little confused because I'm like, is it just Seth? And then I'm starting to wonder, is it Jon Moxley coming out too? And then I'm trying to figure out, like, within seconds, like, is he still with AEW? Like, or does WWE say, like, oh, you could come? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But it was just Seth. And then the storytelling that went into, like, Seth with the Shield jacket on and the steel chair Roman had. Like, they wanted to show, like, the betrayal from years ago.
Right.
And then, like, The Rock whipping, and then the one person nobody expected.
Yeah.
The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Out of all people, we all thought it was Stone Cold because like when The Rock was beating up Cody, the bus had Stone Cold and Cena. I feel like they do these things on purpose so they screw up our heads. And when the Undertaker's gong came out, I stood up instantly. I was like, what the?
Yeah.
And then he came out. He came out in his regular gear, like his all black outfit and stuff.
Almost kind of like the American Badass Undertaker.
Yeah. But it was so surreal. So then that happens, and then Roman is stuck between hitting Rollins and Rhodes, and that's it. And then before we know it, Cody Rhodes does his third Crossroads and is champion. And to this moment, it's still weird seeing the pin. I don't know if like any other wrestling fan will feel this way, but watching that pinfall 1, 2, 3 of Roman is so weird to watch, because after that 3 count, the crowd goes ballistic, starts screaming at the top of their lungs because they finally got their moment.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of Samantha Irvin because, bro, she is probably one of the best announcers of all time.
Oh my gosh. I'm glad you said that. And I meant to bring that up too. Holy crap. So amazing.
Her, like, the fact that she was crying shows how powerful that freaking moment was.
Yeah.
Because she struggled to even say, like, here's your winner and the new champion.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you know, like, they're not even just announcers and wrestlers. They're friends. They're coworkers.
Committed. Yep.
And like they're proud of their friend that finally got their moment after over a year of begging for it. So like there was happiness in that. And then like the locker room coming out and all that. So it was a really good moment. But what also made me sad too was the fact that like there's the video of him hugging Paul at the stage. So I was looking at Instagram, looking at Twitter, everybody's saying like, thank you, Roman, showing like the timeline and like what he did for the company. And it's nice to see that a lot of people are, even though they're Cody fans, they know that Roman made an impact and basically saved WWE because the pandemic was screwing up WWE badly.
Yeah.
So like for him to come back and take the reins, no pun intended, the reins on the belt and take it to new heights, the Paul Levesque era is going to be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking forward to this. I really am. Cause you know, there's heels that you hate, but there's heels that you love to hate. And then there's just heels that you love. And
we're going to miss him. We're going to miss him.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you know, he's definitely not done for sure. It was definitely Cody's time because even The Rock said, you know, you don't win this, you're never going to get another shot at the title.
You're never get a shot. Yep.
So as soon as he said that, it's like, all right, now, you know, it's going to happen. But I mean, as much as I got hype off of hearing the gong, just imagine if we would have heard the glass smash and seen Stone Cold. That fucking stadium would have exploded.
They would have screamed.
And I've been to the link. I've seen Eagles games there. I know it's not a dome stadium, but it gets loud. And I can guarantee you, I mean, the pop was great for Cena. It was great. It was great for Undertaker. But if you hear that glass smash, that pop is like none other. And that's the thing. You know, you would have finished with a stunner.
And like, imagine Stone Cold stunnering The Rock after all those years of The Rock overselling with the backflips and hurdles after getting, that would have been the funniest thing to see.
Yep. Yep. It's great. Where does this rank up there for you in terms of, and I don't need to go down like WrestleManias of all time, but let's just go back, you know, let's just say 10 years, like in the last 10 years from WrestleMania to 30 to WrestleMania 40 right now. Where does this rank up there for you?
This has to be top.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I know there's Attitude Era folks that'll say otherwise. I know there's people that may have stopped after Ruthless Aggression, but this was the most entertaining show that I have seen in terms of a WrestleMania. There have been amazing moments from even, like you said, up to 30. I started watching wrestling at 21, like WrestleMania 21. And like, I remember Rey Mysterio winning the world title at 22 because after Eddie passed away, I remember so many Undertaker matches. I remember a lot of main event matches, but none of them come close to as entertaining as what happened last night. Yeah. And like, just the backstory of it, the people that came out and just everything combined together. And just, I think now as an adult, I feel like I can appreciate the wrestling more because there's more backstory and I can look up that information much faster. Yeah. And just seeing so many other fans, and it's mainstream. It's mainstream now, wrestling. Yeah. People could talk crap about wrestling all they want. There's so many eyes on it, celebrity wise, that it's impossible.
It's a $1 billion business. You can't turn a blind eye to it. I don't give a shit what anyone says out there. Like, if you don't like wrestling, that's fine. That's all you. And I mean, my dad, he'll still joke with me today. You know, my dad, he's like, well, you know, and I told you wrestling's fake. I'm like, it is a predetermined outcome. That does not mean that it is fake to this day. And I mean, it is, they came from gymnasiums to selling out football stadiums, for crying out loud. You know,
I remember when WrestleMania was in Madison Square Garden. Like, the last WrestleMania that was in Madison Square Garden was WrestleMania 20. Wow. That was in 2004. They can't do that no more because of the amount of people. No way they could fit that.
Tell the listeners here at Zero Dark Nerdy, you know, where they can, like, first of all, not just where they can find you, but how you got started and where you're at now, just in terms of, because I remember just watching your videos. You were doing a lot of the, kind of putting your head into Vince McMahon. Hey, you need to find this person now. And now you're blowing up and you got sponsorships and stuff. So, you know what I mean? I'd love for you to just tell the fans, not most importantly where they can find you, but most importantly, how you got started and where you're at now.
So I started streaming in May of 2021, and this was way before I started any kind of wrestling stuff. It was me just wanting to try something new. I bought a computer and I started becoming a Fortnite streamer. That's all I was, just Fortnite, maybe some Call of Duty, but I stopped playing Call of Duty. But I guess like a year later, I was just like, I'm trying to like do what everybody else is doing. Like, I'm trying to be a Fortnite streamer. I'm trying to be the next Ninja. I'm trying to be like the Nick Mercs and Tim Tapman and all those famous people. Everybody's trying to do the same thing. So eventually I wanted to figure out something that would be different. And I realized I always did some sort of random like references in my streams to wrestling. And I wasn't too into it yet because it was still the pandemic, the Thunderdome with the Zoom calls. I didn't watch it then, unfortunately. Right. So eventually then I made a video, my first TikTok related to wrestling, and it was called When You Lie on Your Resume and You Got the Job from Indeed. And it was me getting the job at SmackDown. And then as soon as like I get put to the ring, I'm facing The Undertaker.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I remember that.
30-second video. Yeah. I thought it would just be one hit wonder, never do it again, go back to making Fortnite content. That's it.
Yeah.
That was the very first video that made me 20,000 views. And I freaked the hell out because I did not think it was going to go that far. Yeah. So then I made another one. I did another, I don't remember. Oh, Royal Rumble. And then Lesnar's in the ring. That was the second one. 100,000. I was like, I'm missing out on something. I need to keep doing this.
Yeah.
I kept doing it and doing it and doing it. Followers start skyrocketing. So I'm like, all right, this is what we're doing now. Screw Fortnite. I could still play Fortnite on stream, but looks like we're going to have to start doing some wrestling content. and I think it's a good thing that I went that way because it's something that I'm very passionate about. Yeah. You know, my dad watched wrestling, still watches wrestling. Yeah. He actually watches more AEW than I do. I don't watch AEW like that. But he has the DVR, so he always watches it.
Yep.
So like it's nice because it's a passion of mine. So I don't feel like, like I have to force myself to make this content. It kind of just comes to me like based on current news and my thoughts and stuff.
Yeah.
So like just made it for a year and the rest is history. So like I've been making content since. But you can find me anywhere where you can search Just Laying Down. So TikTok, YouTube, we're going for YouTube partner now so we can like get paid from them. We are on Instagram, Twitter, Spotify now with our podcast. We have the Laying It Down podcast, which is a podcast for all things wrestling, where we bring on wrestling content creators to talk about current news and what's going on in the wrestling world. So we have 2 episodes up on Spotify over there. We have them up on YouTube and basically every social media platform you could think of, you can find me.
Man, it's great having you on. We're going to have you on more often. Like I said, it's dangerous now that I'm back in the wrestling game. So now I just got to get my lighting right. and then we'll be okay here in the studio. But be sure to check them out again on social media formats, Just Laying Down. You can check it out. We'll have the links on our YouTube as well as all our social media outlets. Julian, thank you so much for joining us. Hang out for a minute, and we'll be right back.
Let's go. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. All right, party goers, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow Zero Dark Nerdy across all your favorite social media platforms, and most importantly, your podcast platforms. Give us a like, give us a comment, follow the whole entire 9 yards. Give us a rating. We will love you so much more for doing that. But most importantly, big shout outs to our incredible sponsors out there. BetOnline.ag, the Believe Podcast Network, Zibster with our incredibly amazing website. If you're looking for a website that's easy to navigate and easy to update, be sure to reach out to Jeremy and his team over at Zibster. And most importantly, our main sponsor, that is, of course, Sailfish Comics, with 3 locations in North Carolina, 1 in Winston-Salem, 1 in Greensboro, and, of course, 1 in Concord. As always, thank you so much for listening. We truly, truly, truly appreciate the support, and we cannot wait to see you next time. Peace.
Yeah! Victory!
And anger management?
Fuck anger management.
Thank you for listening to Believe. You can show support to your host by subscribing to the show and giving us a 5-star rating on your preferred platform. Check us out at Believe.com and search for BLEAV on YouTube.
Hey, it's Michelle Beadle. That's right, the Michelle Beadle. You're welcome. You love talking about sports. I love talking about sports. You know the only thing cooler than talking about sports? Sports! And right now, all your favorite sports are on Sirius XM. I'm talking every NFL game, every game from the NBA, NHL, MLB, every NASCAR race, golf major conference college sports, and all the top games in the WNBA. If it gets your heart pumping, it's on Sirius XM. To start your free trial of Sirius XM today, visit SiriusXM.com/believe.